All right, thanks, Patrick. Obviously, congrats to Bradley on a terrific year. Watched a lot of film in the last 48 hours. I was really impressed with the season they had. But I would say really proud of our guys as well to be in this position and to approach this in the right way and prepare in the right way. I think you saw with how they played and came out tonight that they were in the right frame of mind, and that's a credit to them and how they've approached the days leading up to tonight. So I'm excited to be able to be with them for another 40 minutes, and we'll use the days we have. I guess we're playing Liberty from what I was told. They beat Villanova, so we're prepared for that. But again, it's a good win against a very good team. So I'm really happy for these guys because they put a lot into this year. Obviously, we've had ups and downs, but for them to be able to continue to play basketball and play it well tonight, happy for them. Questions for these two guys to my right?
First, Stephen, when we talked to Greg after the loss to Ohio State, he said one of the things he would like to see you do, and he's talked about it before, is to be more selfish with the ball when you're close. It appeared that part of the game plan was to get you going tonight. Did those baskets inside help you with your three-point shooting in terms of getting you comfortable?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, like you said, Coach has been on me all year about being aggressive, and I think I can do a better job at that. But I don't think it's just the inside buckets getting me going. I think it's also getting to the line. Helped you see a couple of those go in. And I know I've been struggling from three and from the line a little bit this year, so it was nice to see a couple of those both go down.
Stephen, you mentioned your struggles from three. Just what was kind of working for you tonight? Was it confidence, or have you changed anything about your shot? Just what was kind of working for you there?
I think probably just the confidence. Kind of like Jeff said, once you get going early, see a couple early buckets go in, see a couple free throws go in, then you start feeling good, and then you see a couple threes going, and you just keep shooting them until you miss. So I think just getting to the line early was the big thing for me tonight.
Up front, you got after Jeff and
Go. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Max, your coach mentioned this about having to approach this a certain way after the loss to Ohio State and not getting in the NC2As. As the players talked amongst themselves once you knew the NIT was coming up, was it difficult to adjust and get ready for this after not getting in the NC2As?
Yeah, obviously disappointed that we didn't make it, but this is just another opportunity for us to go out and try to win a championship in the NIT, and that's how I think all of us are approaching it and taking it day by day, practice by practice, with that same mentality going forward. So, yeah, a lot of winners.
Stephen, along those lines, did you have to do any kind of refocus, reset, anything to get ready for this opportunity? Because that could be a big kind of crushing thing to not get in, but you had another chance.
No, I think all of us were a little disappointed that we didn't get in with what happened Wednesday against Ohio State, but Coach is always on us about on to the next, and you can hang your head for a day or two, but then once practice comes again, you got to lock back in. Like Kles said, it's another opportunity for us to go out and hopefully get a championship.
Stephen, with the three-point attempts, do you look back to games earlier in the season where maybe you had some looks and you passed them up, just on the topic of being aggressive?
Yeah, I think that just has to go with me being aggressive and not seeing them fall earlier this season and throughout most of the season. Just not having that confidence, and then, like I said tonight, just getting to the line, seeing the ball go through the hoop early, and obviously just seeing them threes drop just gave me the confidence to keep shooting them tonight when I was open.
Jeff, go ahead.
Stephen, has there been anything physically or technically that you've worked on with your three-point shot and or free throw shooting this year, just to be more consistent with it, something, or what?
I'd say more specifically the free throw. Coach has been working with me and just tweaking little things here and there just to see what works best for me. But regards to the three-point, I think that's a little more off-season. It's kind of hard to fix something in the middle of the season, so this off-season I'll work hard on trying to fix some of those things with the three-point shot.
Got two more questions up front for the players, and we'll go to the coach. Go ahead.
For either of you guys, it just looked like you guys were playing loose. Just would you agree with that? And when was the last time you could remember you feeling like you guys were just playing out there?
Yeah, you know, like we said, or like we were talking about, I think everybody was aggressive tonight within the confines of what we like to do on offense, and that kind of just showed, I think, getting to the free throw line early on, getting good looks at the rim early on in the paint, and then open up the three-point line a little bit later in the game. So just everybody with the same aggressive mindset.
Go ahead.
Max, coach has mentioned it to us a few times, so I'm sure he's mentioned it to you a bunch about getting to the line more, being aggressive, and having an emphasis on that. Seeing that pay off tonight, does that kind of fulfill or check that box in a lot of things he's been talking about that way?
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's good to look down and see that we got to the line 28 times. I had a majority of our misses, so we got to get in the gym, work on that a little bit. Maybe work with Steve-O on it. But yeah, like you said, you know, Coach preaches parading at the free throw line, getting early looks to go down. Like we said with Steve, getting to the free throw line, seeing if you go in helps you later in the game and moving forward as well.
Okay, thanks, fellas. Still hot. Okay, questions for Coach? Go ahead, Jeff.
Craig, did you guys hope and or try to get Steven going early in this game? It looked like you guys went to him inside to get him
In the
going.
paint. Yeah, in the paint. We typically do. But yeah, obviously his confidence. I mean, I've talked about it several times through the year. Just I tell him all the time. I think I've seen all the bigs come through here in the last 20 years, and I think he could be right there with those guys that are on the Mount Rushmore, so to speak, of stretch bigs that we've had here in the last 2 decades. So, and I think getting him to believe that has been the biggest thing. So tonight's a big step in that. I mean, he played how I envisioned that he could play, and the three is a part of it. It helps. And I just liked how he went after balls with 2 hands too. He rebounded with 2 hands that we've been working on. So it just that's the neat thing about this tournament. Even though we obviously we understand where our goals were, it's another opportunity for us to get experience, play better, get better, and that was a good example of that with him.
Right here.
Greg, when you say Steve needs to be more aggressive, does that extend to the three-point line? Have you seen him pass up sometimes throughout the year?
There's been some times where he has, but I think it really starts, like he mentioned, in the paint and at the free throw line. That's really where, whenever a player is struggling a little bit with perimeter shooting, it's one of the first things we talk about is get yourself fouled, get to the free throw line, get there, get some confidence going, see the ball go in. And, I think once he saw 1 or 2 threes go in, and he banked the one in, it's just, hey, the harder you play, the luckier you get. So they, like I said, he was just, he has a chance to be a really, really good player here. He's got years left, so that's the exciting part. He knows it, and he's really humble with his approach. You can't live at the three-point line. But I mean, I don't want him floating out there all the time because the kid's got great footwork. He's really worked on his jump hooks, and a 7-footer that can pass like that, and the feel he has for the game, it's a heck of a weapon.
John in front.
Greg, you mentioned Sunday night that you didn't think motivation was going to be a problem. Did that prove to be true when you got them back in practice? And did you have to do any kind of pushing to get ready for this kind of opportunity?
No, I think I started really with that kind of planting the seeds on Thursday when we got back, not knowing yet, but knowing we probably were going to be on the outside looking in just with how everything was looking. Obviously things were going to have to really fall our way nationally for that to happen, for us to slide in, but I wanted them to quickly turn the page that, hey, we've had plenty of opportunities. There's nobody, we put ourselves in that position. Now we have another opportunity, and just how teams have walked in maybe when they get the disappointment of not making the NCAA to be in the NIT, there's a hangover effect, and you're going to play really good teams. I said many times, the best teams through the course of the year aren't in the NCAA tournament, not all 68, because you get one or two upsets in a one-game playoff in a conference tournament. And, you know, Bradley's an NCAA tournament team. I mean, Drake beat him in the finals. Bradley wins the regular season. Drake beats him in St. Louis in the championship game, and Drake's a 12 seed. So I felt this was like playing a 12 seed, and you know, just I think Sharif and Joe's experience of being on the other side, of being on conference champions that didn't make it into the NCAA tournament because they didn't win their conference tournament. I leaned on them a little bit on, you know, what they saw with the opponents they played, because obviously they were at Wright State and South Dakota State, and South Dakota State was 27-3 and didn't get in because they didn't win their conference tournament. So just talking with them about the emotional, I guess, downer, so to speak, that they saw in the teams that they played, and we really fought to make sure that didn't happen with us.
Two more questions for Coach Jeff and this gentleman right up front.
Greg, obviously Tyler came back in, but it looked like he fell awkwardly and then he was on the bike. I'm assuming he's okay because he came back and played, but can you fill us in what happened there?
Yeah, no, I think he just fell on his knee. It wasn't his ankle, so it was just he banged his knee on. I think he hit at somebody and then he fell on it. So just a matter of keeping it loose, but he's fine.
Coach, I want to ask, you know, in a preparation standpoint, you know, you have less than 48 hours to, you know who you're going to play. What's it like from a coach's perspective, is preparing in that short time frame, and then also in that game planning phase? Was it a point of emphasis to get Bradley in foul trouble in the paint early on?
Well, I'll ask the second part of your question or answer the second part. It's always an emphasis of ours to draw fouls, get in the paint, you know, get to the free throw line, play inside out. In terms of the preparation, you're not going to reinvent the wheel this time of year. You know, obviously it's quick. I had a hunch we were going to get Bradley just because of how the NIT sets it up. Typically the first round is geographically based. So I thought that might be one of the, you know, 3 or 4 that we kind of talked about. And obviously, you know, following that league, because geographically we're close, you know those teams pretty well and see them periodically through the year. And knowing whoever we're going to play, we're going to have a good team coming in here. But yeah, so it's a crash course. But again, it's basketball. You know, we're not performing open heart surgery or anything like that here. It's our 5 against their 5. Here's what they're going to do well. Here's what they've relied on. And you try to do a lot of comparisons. You know, whether it's individually comparing players to who we played against this year, teams in terms of style, those type of things. So it helps maybe give our players a mental and visual picture before we actually even step on the floor or just watch film. Or obviously the best picture is when you line up and tip it up tonight.